Hello YouTube, it's ClearVision. Hope you're doing well, and today I'm going to be talking about camera settings. For those who have been following me for a while, I can guarantee that you immediately notice the difference in microphone quality. Yes, it's a new microphone, and your ears will thank me for it in the long run. For those new to the channel, welcome. Each and every in-depth tutorial video within this series will live up to its name. If I say a tutorial will be in-depth, I mean it. If you're looking for tutorials that go beyond generic advice, or more specifically just telling you that camera settings are just personal preference in this case, then you've come to the right place. I'm going to explain to the best of my ability what each slider does to your perception of the ball, your car, and the field, and even mention another factor that can affect us that isn't the game itself. So, without further delay, let us begin. If you're starting completely from scratch with default settings, the first thing you need to do before doing anything is to uncheck camera shake. In fact, at this point I don't know why Sonic hasn't removed this feature, because it's completely useless and serves no purpose. Why? Every time that you hit the ball, get a bump, boost or do anything, your camera is going to be shaking all over the place. I've mentioned this in a previous video as well, so I'm just going to move on. Don't touch any other settings yet though, we're not quite there yet, so just hold on. Besides the in-game settings, what else could possibly affect how you see the world around you in Rocket League? I have never seen anyone mention this in a video, or even in general, and it's horrifically overlooked. What am I talking about? The viewing angle and height of your monitor. If you don't know what I'm talking about, let me give you a quick demonstration. Okay, so what I want to show you next is something that simply cannot be shown within the game itself. So I've moved over to my phone, and I apologise in advance for the audio and the quality of the video being different. So, what you're seeing is me sitting down in my chair, and I'm holding the phone up to my eyes. So this is eye level, but I'm sitting back a little bit further than I normally would, so the camera can focus. I'm here with my setup at night, 10:39 at night. But anyways, I digress. Let's get back on topic. And also take my word for it that the monitor is tilted back slightly, let's say about 10 degrees. So as it stands, I am ever so slightly looking up on my screen, and my eye level is roughly across the middle here. I'm going to stand up, and then I'm going to look down on my screen, and I want you to pay attention to how the view changes. I'm going to keep it nice and steady. And I know I'm going to an extreme here, but I want you to see the difference. And it's coming up on the video quite nicely. Okay. I'm going to sit back down. I'm going to take a seat. I know that was a bit faster, but hopefully you could see that on the way up. Have a nice look. And now I'm going to get on my knees and look up on the screen. And once again, I want you to pay attention. Sorry. And I know the colour when you look down on the screen isn't great, but I just want you to pay attention to how the view changes. See that? I'm going to get up and look up on the screen again. And you should be able to see that quite nicely. Excuse the fireworks in the background. And once again, I'm just going to take a seat so you can just see my point of reference. There we go. So regarding eye level and viewing angle, what are my recommendations? At least for me, Having my eye level in the middle of the screen and looking upwards on my screen a tiny bit works really well. You may not like looking up on your screen at all, but the one thing I will say is that you never want your eye level to be higher than 3/4 of your screen's height. Viewing angles distort your view, but looking down on your screen is much worse than my experiences for looking up. You can even try it for yourself. Try playing Rocket League standing up and looking down on your screen, and then sit down in your chair, and then try playing Rocket League while kneeling and looking up. I can almost guarantee looking up will feel better than looking down, so it's something to consider. Nearly all monitors will be able to tilt up and down. Not all monitors will have height adjustment. Consider getting a monitor stand if you don't want to change the height of your seat. Now, let's go into the actual in-game settings. FOV. The bigger it is, the wider your view and the more you can see at once. The trade-off here is it will push objects towards the middle of the screen, further away from you, and your view will become more fish-eyed with distortion towards the edges. At the very least, this needs to be 100 because anything less is too small for Rocket League. I don't know why it's even possible to set your FOV to anything lower than 90. To be honest, if you tried to play with anything less than 90, the game should just crash, minimise itself, and then just automatically uninstall. Okay, jokes aside, there's no secret FOV. My advice is to go with the highest setting you can tolerate because it will allow you to see what you're doing better. What you're seeing on the screen now is a graph I've made over a year ago. The main thing to take from this is that the biggest difference FOV makes is up close. The more FOV you have, the more gradual the change of size will be at a distance in terms of physical size on your screen. This can help you read bounces better, not because of this but also the ball won't be in your face when you're up and close dribbling or taking a shot. Also, for those wondering, relative distance on this graph is approximately a car length of a Takumi, since that's what I was using at the time. I might repeat this experiment in the future with an improved methodology, but I don't know. If you want to check out the results of this mini experiment I did a year ago, I will leave a Google Drive link in the description. The next setting I want to talk about is camera angle. More angle will bring things in distance close towards the top of the screen and give you a better overview of what's going on. However, the trade-off here is that it will be extremely difficult to half volley or shoot in general with too much angle. I advise using an angle between -2 and -6, but do not go any lower than -6 because at this point it becomes a little bit crazy and you won't be able to shoot accurately at all. If you want to try -2 or -3, I would personally pair that with a higher height, especially if your distance between 240 and 300. For -2, try 110 or 120, and for -3 try 110. If you're a weirdo like me and use a distance of 310 or higher, I would pair a -2, -3, and even -4 angle with more height. Try -2 and -3 with 120, and -4 with 120 or 130, and see which one you like the best. Changing the height will also give you a better overview if you increase it, but if you set your camera to be too high above your car, you will lose depth perception of the area surrounding your car, which is arguably the most important. Camera distance and camera height I've already touched upon, but for the sake of completeness I will explain what they do. The distance setting will change how far away the camera is from the centre of the car in unreal units on the horizontal axis. The height setting will determine how far away the camera is from the floor on a perpendicular vertical axis, also in Unreal units. If you like a bit of trivia, one Unreal unit in Unreal Engine is 1 centimeter. So if you have a distance of say 290 and a height of 110, that means the camera is 2.9 meters away from the middle of the car and 1.1 meters away from the floor. My suggestion for which setting you should use is that your distance should ideally be between 240 and 300. 230 is just too close to the car, and most people find anything above 300 to be too much, although you can make it work like I have. If you want to try a distance higher than 300, that's fine, but only after you've tried smaller distances and still weren't satisfied. It shouldn't be the first thing you try. I definitely wouldn't recommend going higher for most people, just because you can seriously sacrifice some car control if you're not used to it. 230 is just too close to the car no matter what, and yes, I know Lucino uses 230 distance, but that doesn't mean you should. Let's move on. The next setting is stiffness. I did a comparison in a video I did for beginners, but to save you some trouble I'm just going to put the same clips in here again. Stiffness will affect how much the camera moves when the car turns or gains speed. When you drive away from the camera, your distance will decrease. When you drive towards the camera, your distance will decrease. It's harder to make a recommendation on stiffness because this is truly that something can be 100% personal preference, as it's not really possible to have a bad stiffness. I personally like my camera very loose, so I use 0. If you like using 1, that's completely fine. In my opinion, flicks look better with a loose camera, but you might not like that. Try both. I have used both high stiffness in the past and low stiffness today. I prefer low. See what works best with your settings, and I advise that you tinker and experiment with this one last. All the other settings that are left don't do much. Ticking the invert swivel pitch box will just reverse up and down controls on your right stick. Ticking holdball camera is something that you shouldn't do, again because it brings next to no benefit. Holdball camera is there so that people who have played the previous game, Battle Cars, can feel more easily at home because holdball camera was on by default in that game. For 99.99% of you watching this right now, you'll be doing yourself a favour by leaving this unchecked. Ball cam indicator is the red ball cam message in the bottom left of the screen. You can turn this off for a clean look to your game if you want. Ball arrow will just display an arrow pointing with the ball's direction when you are not in ball cam, so you can safely turn this off if you find it distracting, or once again, for a cleaner look. There's not much else of camera setting other than what I've already mentioned, so I'm just going to quickly recap everything to wrap this video up. Viewing angle of your monitor matters. Make sure that your eye level is close to the middle of the screen and you're either looking head on or slightly upwards in terms of viewing angle. Set your FOV to be as high as you can tolerate. I'm not by any means saying go and use 110, but your FOV should at least be 100. Angle should be between -2 or -6. Combine lower angles with more height. Height should be between 100 and 120 in most cases. Distance should be between 240 and 340 at the very most. Set swivel speed as high as you can tolerate. Mess around with stiffness last when making new settings. I would personally recommend anything between 0 and 0.6, but if you wish to go higher, that's fine. Finding good camera settings is a trial and error process. There's no escaping that. Feel free to try other people's settings to find a baseline that you like, but don't be afraid to tailor it to your own needs and playstyle. Some camera settings work better for aerials, some settings work better for ground and wall play. You're not going to find settings that will be absolutely perfect in every single situation, so it's all about balance and then learning how to work with your camera settings weaknesses. That's all I have for now, so I do hope you find this helpful. If you did, please be sure to like and subscribe. Have a great day, and I'll catch you in the next.